Hello, I'm Otto, and welcome to Dyson Sphere Program. This is the first factory automation game that I ever played, so I'm very excited to be making a guide for it. I'm hoping the guide will be pretty easy to follow, so we're going to be using this seed 30754827. If you didn't hear that, or you can't see it up here, don't worry, I will be putting that in the description below. So something else we're going to be doing is leaving the dark fog settings on default. If you're a newer player, don't worry, the dark fog is not that difficult. It is pretty trivial through all parts of the game. And if you're having a hard time with them, then you probably just haven't teched up enough in your damage. So yeah, we're going to jump into the game. I'm going to skip the cutscene. And while we're mining up our capsule and getting some iron ore, I like to change the Homeworld name to Higara. That is a reference to the game Homeworld. I also like to change the color of the mech. So I don't really have any special designs, but I do like to just change the color. That is good enough for me. Let's get some fuel in the fuel chamber. And I also like to open the replicator, and we're going to start with setting the magnetic coils to 5 and go ahead and craft that. That will make 10 for us. The circuits we can set to 5 and the gears we can set to 10. That will make 10 of each every time we decide to click on them. So once we get to, 25 is fine. Let's go grab some copper. And we're going to look at the tech trees. So we obviously have to start with electromagnetism. Most players will go with the smelter first, then the logistics, then the assembling machine, and then the science. But I like to do things a little bit different, and the reason why is I like to make 2 starter bases. And the first one we're largely going to be placing the first assembling machine to kind of get us going. So that's why I like to do it a little bit different. So we're going to go with the assembling machine, then the smelter, then logistics, and then the matrix labs. So I did say this guide was going to be a little easy to, or hopefully easier to follow. So to kind of go along with that, we are going to be using the wind turbines as kind of like a grid. So you can see that there's already a grid here, but we're going to be using these as kind of like a visual grid. And this is not only going to be our power generation, but it's also going to be our power distribution. So we are largely just going to be using these. We will need a few Tesla towers, but not that many. Like I think in the early game, we're probably going to use maybe 10, 20 at the most. So this is where we're placing the first one. And another thing that I wanted to show before I kind of skip through some of this stuff, because I don't want to bore you with some of the early game stuff. I want to get right into making the first starter base. The miner, so you probably know that you can hit R to rotate it towards the right, clockwise. You probably also know that you can hold shift to make it a little bit more freeform, and pressing R while holding shift will turn it slightly. But what most people probably don't know is you can also go in the opposite direction. So by default, this is holding shift and pressing the left and right arrow keys. But I like to change my keybind. So we're going to go about 2/3 of the way down. And we're looking for rotate building counterclockwise. I have set mine to Shift F. F opens the replicator, and Shift F does not have any other functions. So that allows us to hold shift and press R to rotate clockwise, and then while holding shift, press F to rotate counterclockwise. So some of the things that I'm going to be doing real quick is I'm going to be making a bunch of the items that we will need coming up, and I'm also going to grab a bunch of coal to put in the fuel chamber. So I'm going to do that real quick, and I will see you on the flip side. Okay, so I have crafted a few things. The necessary things, we definitely need 5 of the smelters. We need 6 of these assembling machines, a bunch of wind turbines. I have 15. a bunch of the belts and sorters. I have 140 and 35, which should be enough for now. A few of the miners, we need 4 matrix slabs and 4 chests. I also went and collected some coal, filled that up. So if you want, you can set a miner down over here and use a chest to start collecting that. Okay, so now to get into the starter base, we need to get some copper. And this is going to be kind of the anchor point on where we're going to start the starter base. And like I said, the first thing that we're going to place is the assembling machine. So we're going to line it up on this line here and get as close to the wind turbine as we can. And that is how we're going to start placing everything. So let's just go ahead and fill out some of this grid, not all of it, because we do need this section here in the middle. So then the 3 smelters, you can't have them right next to the assembling machine, so you do need to pull them back by 1. And then we're going to offset this as well. So we're going to offset it by 1, and then you can just drag those. The first Tesla tower will be here, and that is the first part of our first starter base. So the reason why I set up 2 is because I used to just handcraft a bunch of stuff and skip into the main smelting, main starter base, and then I was like, okay, well, I would like to have some early game science. So once I started figuring out how I was going to set up some science, I was like, well, I already have this stuff anyways. I might as well make, more use out of what I have. I have some extra materials. So then I was like, okay, maybe some belts. That worked. I can add in some sorters. Still had leftover materials, and I was like, well, I'm handcrafting a bunch of the wind turbines, so might as well add those too, and it works out pretty good. So the first smelter is going to be magnets. The second one is going to be iron plates, copper plates, and then we're going to have iron plates. If you already have the smelters, then we need another iron plate right next to this one, and then another iron plate skipping 1 spot. We're then going to take the assembling machines and drag 3 more down, so you will see these will all line up. The first assembling machine is going to be the magnetic coils. The second one will be the circuit boards, then the gears, and then we have the belts, conveyor belts. There we go. And then the last Tesla tower that we will be using here is going to go right next to that. Okay, so we obviously need to start bringing in some of this material. So let's get the iron. The copper ore is going to go right beside that. We can help out our little bot buddies. By clicking over the nodes and holding the left click. Which I'm gonna prioritize some of the ones that are right in front of the smelters. That way we can add in some of the sorters. So these all get sorters off the iron and then the 1 copper. Okay, and then we're just matching all of these together. So the magnetic coil needs magnets and copper. The circuit board needs copper and iron. The gears just need iron, and then the conveyor belts need iron and gears. So then we're going to need somewhere to store this. And then we're going to set the limit to 3 stacks, and then we're going to filter this too. So if you just middle mouse click in an empty area, you can click what you want the filter to be. You can also click middle mouse button on top of an item that's already there, and that will also set the filter. So we're going to set this one to sorters, and the sorters will go here, but it is going to be offset from the chest down by 1, or if you're oriented the same direction. So that is going to be the sorters, and it needs the iron plates, and it needs the circuit boards, and then it will go into here. So we need to get the circuit boards down this way. And we're going to get the coils down here too. And we will need some depots for that. And they will both need to be filtered as well. We're just going to do one stack. Sorry, not filtered, limited. So we're going to just do 1 stack. And then this can go into here, and that works out great. Okay, so you will start to see some of the stuff building up. So you'll see, for instance, this is not getting enough iron. So we can start to kind of double up on some of these. So this needs 2 iron. This one needs 2 magnets, so we can double up on that. This one will also not be spitting these out fast enough because the inserter is too slow, so we're going to add a second one of those. And we can bring in a second one too. We can just do both. Same with the belts. The belts, you'll see it's not pushing it into the chest fast enough, so we're going to add another one of these. And for this reason, we are going to try to get to the second logistics as soon as possible. So we're also going to add a belt in this empty spot here and drag it across to the other side. And we're going to put an assembling machine here. This is for the wind turbines. The wind turbines need iron plates, needs gears, and needs magnetic coils. And then we will need a box for it. And that box will be limited to 1 stack. There, so now we have automated basically most, like this is the stuff that we're going to be crafting the most of. So it's good to have this automated. But I did mention that the reason why I initially did this was for the science. So we have 4 matrix labs, and we're going to need to bring this back a little bit. We're not going to be able to have this right next to the chests. The science needs the magnetic coils and the circuit boards, so let's get those in. And be sure to click on this to make it activate. And then we need another one for the actual science. And be sure to click on the actual research mode. Okay, so let's take a look at the science again. So if you have the dark fog settings turned up, then you probably want to start with the weapon systems first. It's cheap enough, we can go ahead and start that. But the first one that I definitely want is the Steel Smelting. The main reason why is because this allows us to build the wind turbines on water. It also allows us to build the hollow beacon on water, but that is not that big of a deal. I don't think that's as important, but you know, I guess they figured, yeah, might as well. So that is the first thing that we're queuing up. If you have water like right in your way, which I know we don't on this seed, but if you were playing a different seed, then you would probably want to go with reclamation first. That way you can start actually making space for where our next starter base will be. I know that we're going to have a little bit of extra room and time, so I'm going to go with the second logistics first, the upgraded logistics, because we really want the sorter Mark II, and the splitter is also pretty helpful. You could also go with combustion engine because you could turn the coal into these for fuel for your mech, which just means that you'll be going back for fuel less often. We're about halfway through a stack of coal here. It, you know, the fuel's going to last a long time. That would just make it last longer. Okay, so we're going to double up on these. I'm going to double up on this one first. And we can go 3 high, but I'm not going to worry too much about it because we're not going to be able to produce enough to make both of these be 3 high anyways. So we're just going to leave it at 2 and 2. We are also going to need, yep, some more iron. So you can see the iron is very slowly trickling out. We're still going to need some more power, so let's get some of this spread out. And before the dark fog attacks, let's get another miner down. Just want the 6 nodes. Come on. There we go. Yeah, this is really only a problem in the early game. Once you start getting some of the upgrades, the bots, 1, you start to get more of the bots, and 2, they start to be faster. And then even more distant into the game, they will actually be able to perform more than one task. So they will be able to place like 2 items at a time, which is extremely hopeful. Okay, so the dark fog is going to be attacking soon. We have unlocked our weapon systems. So I'm going to take the ammo. We don't have to have this. Like, we could just attack the dark fog as they are without the weapon systems. Our laser will be plenty enough. But we're going to put this into the mech so that we have a little bit of extra damage. It's going to be a while before they get to us, so there's some other things that we can do in the meantime. We are definitely going to need some more stone, so let's get a miner on this. I'm just going to get it kind of as close to the water as I can and still get that at least 6 of coverage. The reason why I could have had this on 7, but the reason why I pulled it back to get 6 is because that does give us a little bit extra room. And here's the dark fog. Okay, they're gonna send 2 from the start, and then the last one, it's going to be a bit of time before it gets here, and it will just be 1 little dude. Alright, so in between this and the next episode, how many did that give me? 24? Oh, we should probably double up on the copper as well. So in between this episode and the next episode, I'm going to craft probably several more miners because we're going to want to tap more of the stone miners. We're going to want to tap some of the iron. 1 more on the copper. I'll probably get some automation down, or I'll probably set one down up, set one up on the coal just so I can start collecting it. And we're going to be handcrafting a bunch of the smelters, several of the assembling machines. The handcrafting is not going to be as big of a deal because we can just take like half of these and like half of that. Grab some stone, and then that should make crafting the smelter. Oh, need some iron too. Yeah, so I just got a bunch in there. How much is that per? Yeah, so it's like 5 seconds handcrafting the stone bricks. So not that big of a deal. Okay, that is going to be it for me for this episode. In the next episode, we're going to start working on a smelting area in this section. There will be some components that we make over here, and then we will start the starter base somewhere in this direction. We won't finish the starter base in the next episode because there are a lot of things that we're going to be adding on to it over time. But that is largely going to be the main focus for the next episode. And yeah, if you want to eventually get some of the blueprints that I'll make. We don't have access to blueprints at the moment, but once we unlock them, if you want to get access to some of my blueprints, I give those away for free in my Discord. I'll have that link below. We're pretty close to around 1,000 members now, so yeah, it'll be great to have some extra people in there. Anyways, that is it for me. I will see you in the next episode, and thanks for watching.